So yesterday we completed the implementation of the multiple linear regression, and it's told that it is the one model of regression or prediction in for the predictive analytics or the regression problem that machine learning deals with. Today we will start the classification problem with logistic regression. Okay, we will start classification problem with logistic regression. Chandranath, am I audible? Am I audible, Chandranath? Anyone in the class, am I audible? Can you just reply yes or no? Okay, thank you. So today we will start classification in Python. Classification problem we will be doing with logistic regression. Okay, classification problem we will be doing with logistic regression. So I told you that machine learning deals with two domains. One is the prediction or the regression domain, another is the classification domain. So today we will take up the classification with logistic regression. Okay, let me import NumPy and the pandas. Okay, and we are taking a file of German credit data. Let me tell something about this data set. So we are taking a data set, German credit data. This data set is available at the University of California Irvine Machine Learning Laboratory. I am telling you the source of the data set. It is available in UC Irvine ML Machine Learning Laboratory. Okay, it is available in UC Irvine Machine Learning Laboratory. What does it do? It tries to predict whether a credit is a good or a bad credit. Okay, so what is a good or a bad credit? Credit classification, we know, is one of the most popular classification problem encountered in the financial institutions. Okay, when a customer applies for a loan, financial institutions such as bank would like to predict, okay, the probability of default, okay, whether the customer will be a defaulter or not. Okay, and for this credit problem, okay, credit classification problem, will be using the German credit data set. Okay, let's see. How does this data set, what are the variables in this particular data set? Let me see. How can we see it? Credit underscore df.info. We have done it in Python. This gives all the variables present in the data set. Okay. So see, since all the values are same, there is no missing values. All are 1000 entries. Okay, we have 1000 records and we have 14 columns. Okay, so we have 1000 records and we have 14 columns. It contains the savings account, it contains personal status, it contains the age, it contains the job, okay, several credit history, amount, several variables it contains. Okay, let me see in a more detail. What we can do, we can use the ilog function to see the rows and the columns of the data set. We will use the ilog function. See the okay, this is the duration, this is the credit history, This is the amount, this is the savings account details. Okay, instant rate, several variables are given. See, now few of the variables are categorical variables. How can you know that? Because data type object, the variables for which data type object is there, we can tell that those are categorical variables, right? And there is also a column C, status. Status, what does this status means? Status means whether it is a good observation or a bad observation. Okay, so see what is the problem. There are some good observations, and for these the features are given, or 14 features are given. There are bad observations for which the corresponding features or these variables like duration, credit history, amount, saving accounts, present emphasis since, instant rate, these are present employment since, instant rate, these are all given. So you want to classify if a new data comes in, whether that customer will be in the good group or in the bad group, in the good credit group or in the bad credit group. Okay, this is a classification problem. So you have been given a number of features, like in this case duration, credit history, amount, saving account, present employment since, instant rate, personal status, residing since, age. Okay, several variables, job, several variables are given, and you want to demarcate or you want to distinguish whether it's a good credit or a bad credit. Let me see the status column. How many data? There are 1000 data. Okay, how many of them are good or bad as per the present data? We want to check the status column. How can we see the entries, value counts? Okay, 0 means good credit, 1 means bad credit. So there are 700 observations for good credit and 300 observations of bad credit as per the given data set. Okay, please note, for building a classification model, for building this classification model, the status column will be treated, I'm writing it for your understanding, will be treated as dependent variable. Okay, the status column will be treated as dependent variable, while the remaining column will be treated as independent variable. Okay, now what we will do, we will take the X features. In X features we will take list of the columns in the data frame credit underscore DF. We will take all the columns. Then we just need to remove the column. We want to just remove the column. Which column we want to remove? We want to remove the column status, because it is a dependent variable. Rest of the column will be in the independent variables X features. Okay. Now if you print X features, you get all the independent variables that you will be using for defining the classification model. So you remove the independent variable, rest of the features or rest of the columns you keep as independent variables and you use them for classification. Okay, now we follow the same line. We have to remove the categorical features. Okay, we have to remove the categorical features and encode them. What we need to do, we encode them as 0, 1 as dummy variables. Okay, we did this same dummy variables in case of multiple regression analysis. This is the new frame. We use pd.getDummies. You remember the people who have attended my multiple regression class. We used from pandas the getDummies. Sorry, it will be D. Okay, so this getDummies, pd.getDummies takes a drop first, which drop the first category if set to true. Okay, it drops the first category which is set to true. So we are defining the dummy variables for the categorical features. Okay, now let us list down this encoded frame. Okay, this is the new encoded frame. See, check-in account. This is a variable. This has been encoded into 3 dummy variables. Okay, checking account A12, checking account A13, and checking account A14. Okay, and checking account A11 has been dropped. If the following 3 variables are set to 0, it indicates that the account type is checking account A11. So what does drop first do? Drop first set the first one to be 0 if the other one are 1, or set the first one to be 1 if the rest 3 are 0. So I will explain once more. For checking account, we have 4 dummy variables: A11, A12, A13, and A14. Drop first will generate checking account to be A11 in the case A12, A13, and A14 are 0. Okay, let me display it. It will be easier for you to understand. How will you display? Encoded underscore credit underscore df. Within that we will display the column. Which are the columns we will display? Credit account, these 3 we will display. And we will do it for the, let's say for the 5. Okay, just let me see. Encoded credit df, check-in. I have missed a dot here up before head. See, any one of them will be 1 at a time. Either the person has credit account A11, either the person has credit account A12 or A14, A13 or A14. Any one of them dummy variable will be 1. Okay. The first records, that is A11, has been set to 0, indicating that checking type account. which is a base category. Okay. Now let us import again the stats model. Okay. What we will do, we will import the stat model. Stats model.api as SM. Stats models. It is not model, it is stats models. Import stat models at API as a SM. Okay. Then we define x equals sm dot add constant, same as regression. We took the encoded credit underscore df. Okay. We take y as credit underscore df dot status. See, the data frame encoded credit df called all the feature vectors of x or the input feature vectors, and credit df contains the status column. The data frame credit df contains the status column. Credit df underscore status, it will call the status column as the dependent variable. Now what we will do from sklearn, we will do the same thing. From sklearn, import train state split. And we can run it. From sklearn, we import the train test split. We xtrain xtest, ytrain ytest, and we do this test size to be 0.3. It means 70-30 ratio for training and testing. Okay. Now xtrain and ytrain contains the independent variables and response variables for the training data set, and xtest and ytest contains the independent variables and response variables for the testing data set. Okay. Now comes the again import stats models dot API as SM. Then now see, we write the logit function. SM dot logit ytrain xtrain, then logit model. Logit means it will generate the logistic regression model. It's a function. Logit model equal to logit dot fit. We import the stats model. Logit equal to sm dot logit. L is capital. Ytrain and xtrain. Logit model will fit the logit function. Let's see how it runs. Okay. So the method feed and on logit estimates the parameters and returns model details in the variable logit model, which contains the model parameters, accuracy measures, residual values, and other details. Okay. So it is done after 6 iterations. So printing model summary, how will you do? Logit underscore model dot summary 2. This is the model summary, okay? Okay. Now see, the model returns something called the pseudo R square. This pseudo R square, okay, is a measure of goodness of the model. Okay, it is called a pseudo R square because it doesn't have the same interpretation as the R square. Secondly, log likelihood test. This log likelihood test is done for testing the statistical significance of the overall model. Okay. So the model summary suggests that, as per the Waltz test, it suggests that 8 variables, 8 features are statistically significant at alpha equal to 0.5 as p-values are less than 0.5. Okay. So see here in these features, only 8 features have p-value, this particular p-value to be less than alpha 0.05. So that means those are the features which are significant. Okay. And p-value for likelihood, see p-value for likelihood, okay, indicates that the overall model is statistically significant. Okay. Now, if we want to get the significant variables, okay, I have defined a function to get the significant variables. Okay, you can directly use the significant variables. Using this function, you can directly generate. This is the function define. This is the function I have written for defining the significant variables. You don't need to go into the depth of the function, just use this function whenever you want to get the significant variables. I am running this function, function running well. Then I can do significant vars. I have done nothing. I have taken the p-values of those functions which are less than, see the last line. I have seen the p-values of those functions which are less than 0.05. Those functions will be my significant variables. Okay, so my significant variables function is get underscore significant vars from the logit model. Now let me print the significant vals, which are the significant variables. Duration, amount, instant rate, age, check-in account A13, check-in account A14, credit history A34, savings history A35. These are my significant variables. Okay. Now we can build the logistic model based on these significant variables. So what will be my final logistic model? Final underscore logit model will be sm. I will again use that logit function sm dot logit sn.logit ytrain, comma sn.add underscore constant xtrain. Within xtrain we want to take significant that's then you want to use a fit. This has run. Then you take the summary of the finite logic model. See, once again you get the final logic model with only the significant variable. Now one important thing you check, the negative sign in coefficient values indicate that the value of this variable increases. Okay, the negative sign in the coefficient values, this is the coefficient values for all the coefficients, okay, beta naught values or beta 1 values or beta I values for the coefficient. The negative sign in the values indicates that as the value of this variable increases, okay, we'll do that, Paramita will do that, yeah. What does the negative sign indicates? That as the value of the variable increases, the probability of being a bad credit decreases. Okay, the negative sign in the coefficient increases implies that as the value of this particular coefficient, these particular features which have negative coefficients increases, the probability of getting a bad loan decreases. A positive sign means the probability of being a bad loan increases as the corresponding value of the variable increases. Okay, so some of the observations from this data is that the logs of odd ratios, okay, increases, or the probability of being a bad roll increases as duration. See, duration has got a positive coefficient, amount, instant rate increases. Okay, so the probability of getting bad roll increases as duration, amount, instant rate increases. Okay, if these three variable increases, the probability of getting a bad credit also increases. Okay, now the opposite is true. The probability of getting a bad roll decreases as age increases. See, age has got a negative coefficient. Okay, this means that older people tend to pay back their credit on time compared to younger people. Okay, this is the conclusion you can draw from this particular variable. See, for age, the coefficient is negative. So the bad credit decreases as age increases. This means the older people tend to pay back their credits on time compared to younger people. Okay, this is how we have run the logistic regression on the training set. Okay, now comes the question of doing logistic regression, okay, on the testing set. Now comes the question of predicting the data on testing set. Okay, what we will do, we will just define Y predicted df sorry, not this one. Let me write. Okay. Y underscore predicted df equals pd dot data frame actual. Now we take the Y test. Okay, we get the predicted probability from the final logic model. We get the predicted probability from the final logic model. Predict on sm dot at constant. Now we take X test only the significant bias. Add constant, it will be add underscore constant, sorry. Okay, then Y predict underscore df dot sample let us take 10 with a random state of a random state can take any value. Put whatever value you want. Let me put what. Okay. This is what it returns. It returns the predicted probability. Okay. Now to understand how many observations the model has classified correctly and how many it has not, a cutoff probability needs to be assumed. Okay. To understand what we need to do to understand how many observations it has classified correctly, we need to define a cutoff probability. Suppose we assume that the cutoff probability equal to 0.5, then all the observations with predicted probability more than 5 with more than 0.5 will be predicted as bad credits and rest as good credits. So we take a cutoff probability that if it is above 0.5 probability, then it will be a bad credit, and if it is below 0.5, then it will be a good credit. Okay. So let us do this. Using a very simple code. Predicted equal to, if x is greater than 0.5, then it will be 1, otherwise it will be 0. Okay, predicted probability, if it is 0 greater than x.5, 0.5, it will be 1, other than it will be 0. Let us print it random sample. See, the probability greater than 0.5 has been classified as 0, others as 1. Okay, so we are rating it as bad credit and good credit. Bad credit will be given as 1, good credit will be 0. The probability here only we have this one 0.83, which is greater than 0.5, and it is taken as a bad credit. All rest are good credit. Okay. Just use this simple function that if predicted probability x is greater than 0.5, it will be treated as 1, otherwise it will be 0. Now this actual column in the data frame depicts the actual level of the credits. Okay, this actual column in the data set, this actual column is from the data frame. It depicts the actual level of the credit in the test set, while predicted column depicts the model has predicted is as good or bad. Okay, see, for observation 577, actual is 1. Okay, actual is 1, and the model predicted probability of the model is 0.08. Very important point, please note. The actual, in the actual data set, it is the observation 577 is treated as a bad credit, so it is 1. Now the model predicts it with a very low probability, that is 0.08 of being a bad credit. Okay, whereas it is actually a bad credit. So the model has predicted it wrongly, because model should have predicted it to be a good credit. Okay, a model should have predicted it to be a bad credit, but model is predicting it to be a bad credit, a good credit. I repeat once more, the actual in the data set is 1, that means the model has predicted, the actual data is a bad credit data. But the model is predicting it to be a good credit, so it is returning 0. Okay, so this data is wrongly classified. Again, this wrong classification is there in the case of 917. It's a bad credit, but model predicts it to be a good credit. Okay, so from this table you can see there are cases of proper classification or right classification, and there are cases of misclassification. Okay, so now to check out which one is misclassification and which one is proper classification, we will do something called a confusion matrix. Okay, we will do something called a confusion matrix. For that, I have to import matplotlib, I have to import Seaborn. Okay, for that I have to import matplotlib, I have to import Seaborn, and for sklearn I have to import metric. Okay, and for your ease, I am writing the code for confusion matrix. So we have defined the confusion, we have defined draw confusion matrix with actual and predicted. We have defined the actual, predicted, actual to be 1 and predicted to be 0. Matrix CM is the matrix called confusion matrix. We have defined the heat map with X labels bad credit, good credit, and with Y labels bad credit, good credit. Okay, and we have plot true value and predicted levels. This is the function. You can use this particular function, and let me see how does the confusion matrix look. Just call this function draw CM. This is a standardized function I have used for confusion matrix. You don't need to write it, just use it. Okay, just in place you have other data, you just change these names, bad credit, good credit, you just change these names, okay, for other data sets. Okay, name them as per the data set. Rest of the things will be as usual. We have called this function draw confusion matrix for the actual and the predicted from the predicted data, Y predicted data frame. Okay, matrix. Name matrix I have defined. This will be matrix, not metric. Is a typo, it will be matrix, not metric. But I have missed that S. This is the I have missed that X in matrix. Okay. So here is my true level, here is my predicted level. Good credit, bad credit, bad credit, good credit. What does it mean? Okay, in the confusion matrix, I will explain. Please listen to me carefully. Just a minute. I will switch on my charger. Just a minute. See, in the confusion matrix, the columns. See, in the confusion matrix, the columns represent the predicted class, while the rows represent the actual class levels. Okay, the columns represent the predicted class levels, and the rows represent the actual class levels. Okay. For example, out of 91, okay, 30 plus 61 bad credits, only 30. See, in the first row, out of 91, 30 plus 61, only 30 has been correctly classified as bad credits. Rest 61 has been classified as good credits when the cutoff probability is 0.5. Because what we have done, we have taken above 0.5, it will be a what we have done above 0.5, it will be a bad credit. Below 0.5, it will be a good credit. So out of this 91 in the first row, see 30 plus 61, only 30 has been properly classified as bad credits, while rest 61 has been classified as good credits when the cutoff is 0.5. Now each row represents the actual bad credit and good credit observations present in the test data, and each column represents the predicted value of outcome variables. Very important. Okay. So left topmost quadrant where 30 is written represents the actual bad credit and it is correctly classified. This is called the true positive. Very important. What is true positive? I explained last time. It is the actual bad credit which is correctly classified as a bad credit. Left down quadrant represents the actual good credit. Okay, true level is good credit, which is incorrectly classified as bad credit. It is called false positive. 21 cases are actual good credits which has been misclassified, incorrectly classified as bad credit. So it is called false positive. See, right top quadrant, they are actual bad credits and it's incorrectly classified as good credit. Their actual bad credit is 61, which are misclassified as good credit. So it is called false negative. And write down actual good credit and correctly classified as good credit. So it is true. It is true negative. These are actual good credits and correctly classified as good credit. So this confusion matrix contains at the top left the true positive, below it contains the false positive, at the top right it contains the false negative, below it contains the true negative. Okay? This is the idea of confusion matrix. Okay? So with this, okay, we will end today's class. After defining the confusion matrix for this data case, I will take up in the last class sensitivity, specificity, precision, F-score, ROC and AOC, okay, and finding the optimal cutoff using Euden's index. Okay, these things I will discuss in tomorrow's class. But by this time you have seen how to find out the confusion matrix and how to classify a data using the logistic regression model. Okay, this is how classification can be done using logistic regression. Any question there? I will answer. For while writing the codes for your data set, the functions I have defined, just use them as it is. Change the variables and do it. Okay, you don't need to discover the wheel. Okay, just use those functions that I have written. Just change the variables in the functions. I will share with you the entire code. Okay. Now, once you know, if you have any question, you can ask me. If you know this confusion matrix I discussed last time, if you know the confusion matrix, you can find something called the sensitivity. What is sensitivity? It is the conditional probability that the predicted class is positive given that the actual class is positive. Okay, sensitivity is the conditional probability that the predicted class is positive given that the actual class is positive. Sensitivity is measured by true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. Okay, and sensitivity is defined as conditional probability that the predicted class positive given that actual class is positive. Okay, you can also take out the specificity. Okay, what is specificity? Specificity is the conditional probability that the predicted class is negative given that the actual class is negative. That predicted class is negative given that actual class is negative. How it is measured? Specificity can be measured from the confusion matrix as Pn 2 negative divided by 2 negative plus false positive. Okay. So specificity and sensitivity you can check out from the confusion matrix. With this, I end today's class. Since nobody is asking me any question, I am considering that you don't have doubt. Okay. So I am finishing this session. Chandranath, are you there? Chandranath, are you there?
Yes.
So I am ending the session since students are not asking any questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Rohan, is it possible to share your email ID if possible?
Yes, yes, yes. Why not?
So can you please check it so student can ask question directly to him?
Yes. Mukherjee.rohan666@gmail. I'm writing it in the chat box for all. Okay.
Yeah.
Mukherjee.rohan666. Okay. @gmail.com. Mukherjee.rohan666@gmail.com. Okay. Chandranath, I'm ending it.
Yeah. Thank you, Rohan. So tomorrow from 3 we will start again.
Chandranath, Paramita Chandra wants to know we will be getting certificate or attending the webinar. I don't have the answer. Can you tell?
We have to discuss with our director, so we will soon let you know. No worries.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Just a minute. Chandranath, can you end the meeting?
You are the host. You have to just end this meeting.
Okay.